Hey, what's going on YouTube? Son of Sanguinius here, and in this video, um, this is mainly just going to be kind of a response, kind of a thought piece, in response to a video that The Long War put up, and the video was about whether or not, at least part of the video was about whether or not to, with 8th edition right around the corner, to stop playing 40k until the new edition comes out, or to continue playing 7th up until 8th edition comes out. Now, part of me kind of has some mixed feelings about this because, on one hand, I really have not had a chance to actually get in as many games as I would like to, using Angel's Blade, using, all the cool new stuff and, the models I got and so on and so forth. Part of that is just, time, lifestyle, job, and all that, other stuff that just gets in the way of playing with our toy soldiers. But I feel like I want to still, get the most enjoyment as possible out of 7th edition. The problem to that is, one, I'm starting to warm up a little bit to 8th edition, although I still have quite a few questions about it. And truth be told, we really don't know all that much about it yet. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the rules, with the data slates for the armies. I say data slates because we're probably not going to have any codexes as we know them. And we're going to have to wait and see for a lot of things. But the other thing, too, is I have a bad habit of spending a lot of money on models, brand new, shiny models, and building them, and just kind of leaving them unpainted for a while. And then next thing I know, when something else sort of piques my interest, I look at it and I go, oh, well, I'll just, get this, and don't worry, I'll get to it eventually. I do have a pretty bad habit of doing that, because right now I got a 10-man unit of Flesh Tearers Assault Marines that need finished. I have 2 squads of 5-man squads of Stern Guard that need painted. 2 squads of Vanguard veterans that need painted, 2 Furiosos that need painted, Land Raider Redeemer that needs built and painted, a Stormraven gunship that needs built and painted, and I think a Razorback as well that also needs built and painted. I'm pretty bad at this, as you can see, but regardless, I was kind of intrigued by the idea that, if you want to play, continue on with 7th edition, you can and should, and, bring more people into the hobby. And for me, I was like, well, if I really didn't, want to do that necessarily, I could, just take the time to, build and paint my models. That way they're ready for 8th edition. And I feel like that's probably what I'm going to do. I mean, obviously, if I get things done before 8th edition drops, hey, who knows, I might go out and, play a quick game of 7th edition, as just kind of a farewell to 7th, and doing that, might bring, I don't know if closure is the right word, but, it'd at least be nice to, be able to use, some of my new models, freshly painted on the tabletop as just sort of a last final game of 7th edition. That way I can have a good memory, hopefully. If I win, I'll have a good memory. But I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say regarding whether or not to continue playing 7th or to put the brakes on and wait for 8th. Are you guys going to focus on building some terrain? Are you guys going to focus on building and painting that backlog of models that you have, packed away somewhere in your closet or your garage or, under your bed, wherever? You're going to focus on that. Are you going to perhaps do a couple of experiments with, painting in different ways, using airbrushes, trying out some new painting techniques, some new hobby techniques that perhaps you were afraid to try, or maybe you didn't have time to try since you were engaged so much in 7th edition. Perhaps now that the game is kind of in a limbo, you can take the time to sort of, not necessarily withdraw entirely, from the hobby, but, just to sort of focus in on the hobby aspect of 40K. And I feel like the Lone War kind of touched on that, and I feel like that's probably what I'm most likely going to do. Just focus on getting my models built, focus on getting them painted, and making sure that my army, my Blood Angels and Flesh Tearers, are ready for 7th edition, or 8th edition, excuse me. And of course, I also have like a small force of Tyranids that also needs built and painted, but that's another topic for another day. So, regardless, I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Are you going to keep playing 7th until the day 8th comes out? Are you going to just sort of hold back, just focus in on your hobbies, focus on terrain? Are you going to perhaps just take a break from 40K altogether? Maybe you've had, just enough of this edition and you want to come back to 40K when the new edition drops and, engage it with, fresh mind, fresh eyes, and a fresh sense of enjoyment. And the other thing that was brought up too, and once again I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say, is whether or not to bring new people into the hobby at this point. Now, I do have a couple of friends of mine who have perhaps a passing interest in 40K. I did, bring up the idea of, tabletop, wargaming to them. And basically their main concern was obviously the price, because keep in mind, you needed to buy the rulebook, then you needed to buy the codex, then you needed to buy the models. And one of my friends, we have played a couple of games with the Deathstorm box set stuff, and we kind of built some little armies, little forces, and I feel like he enjoyed it. I feel like I enjoyed it. We forgot like a shit ton of rules, although I did stomp him in our last game. I think I basically tabled him. But that's okay, because he tabled me in one of the earlier games we played. But so, my friends have a passing interest, and I think I already mentioned way back in one of my earlier videos that my friends and we are currently playing Black Crusade, which is a tabletop RPG put out by Fantasy Flight that puts you in the role of either a heretic or a traitor marine, and it was really cool. They got to, create their own characters. I asked them, what kind of legion did they want, I think I am wound up painting Alpha Legion, Word Bearers, Thousand Suns, and Death Guard. And so far, it's gone pretty good. I feel like they really enjoy it, and so I'm kind of curious, if you guys feel like it would be a good idea to bring someone into the hobby at this point, because for me, if I had to try to convince them, I would convince them to go with the Dark Vengeance box set, because, like I said, one of my friends has been, playing with Tyranids, and I have Blood Angels, so that's 2 armies down. And then for the other 2, they can be Chaos Space Marines and Dark Angels, so that it all just kind of works out that way. Perhaps, there might be a little bit too many Marines on the table, but yeah, it's how we go about things. And then as far as codices go, I do have digital versions of the codices that I got from a Russian friend of mine, so we're all good there. But the only reason why I don't really feel like bringing them in is because I don't really feel like I should introduce them to a rule set that's probably going to take them a while to understand, to get down, to fully comprehend. And then a couple months later, by the time they've, finished absorbing 7th, 8th edition drops. And now they have to sort of relearn that process and start all over again. And for me, I kind of feel like if I was going to draw them in, I think my first thing would be, okay, well, wait till 8th, because codices probably won't be a thing. The rules may be, like a free PDF or something like that. But we'll just have to see. And then, hey, we can, purchase the models, and then we can build and just start playing them, So I feel like I would opt to inform my friends that, hey, in 2 months from now, we may get a new edition. So if you want to buy some models, that's okay, but there's no need to necessarily jump in and start playing immediately and try and digest 7th edition when 8th edition is right around the corner. So I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Feel free to leave a comment down below in the comment section. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.